We are live.
So am I supposed to initial this
Yes,
and sign it too?
sign in like 4 times, please.
Well, I got these going, but is there a, is
Just
that
an initial.
where the green thing is?
Yeah, where one of the lines are, it says initial.
Mine died
It says
a few weeks ago.
facsimile signature, facsimile
Those
signature.
original ones died.
Yes, these are gray on these ones.
Just one time? But this sign and this sign are
Yeah.
not,
Somebody else.
they're.
Yep, somebody else,
exclusive?
yep.
I go over there.
You need a body.
I didn't even recognize her.
Yeah, a little different.
Yeah.
Who's there?
Small.
I have some. Did you break it?
No big deal, I can use this other thing too. And it's touch. That's nice to know. Yeah, I found that out accidentally one time.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
touch.
remember that name of that cement people that did?
Oh, yeah, I got signature concrete.
I found that out
Where are they at?
accident and the chamber that's on the side, and I tried to.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order.
Happens to me all the time.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The consent agenda, anybody have any additions or changes, comments?
There's two quick items I wanted to mention on the consent agenda. The daycare job descriptions, we had to make a couple of slight adjustments on there, so if you would take a peek real quick at the documents. There was just some wording, I'm gonna just go over that real quick with you, that was like duplicated, we didn't catch that, so again, and then an adjustment. So I'm gonna look at number 4, essential functions on the daycare center instructor. It just says adhere to the plan of communication outlined for use between daycare staff and child's family. Just want to mention that that's like there will be like an app or texting, whatever we use. Like during the day, there will be some connections that occur throughout the day. We want to publicize with our parents what we're doing with their kids, the great things. So they'll be using an app or texting. And so we adjusted that wording from the document that we had on the original. It's number 4 on essential functions. And then there was a question on number 14, if you go down to 14, general responsibilities. And a question came up about successfully pass CPR training every 2 years and defensive driving training every 3 years if transporting students. We weren't sure, again, should that be under general responsibility or like essential functions? We decided to put it under general responsibilities because if we're going to ask people to do that, then we should train them in that. And we do have in-kind donations from the health department for training for CPR. We can do the defensive driving with Doug Rohr and his expertise on that. And then there was one other item. Oh, we had duplication in the original document of the physical requirements / environmental conditions. Now we've got them all under one section. We actually had that. And then down below we had another section that says physical requirements and environmental conditions. There were 2 sections of that. For some reason, we didn't catch that error, so that's the adjustment to those 2 documents. And essentially, the daycare center instructor and the daycare aide job description, we adjusted them both on the same. And then the last thing I want to mention is on the daycare center instructor job, notice how we did word that. We didn't say daycare center teacher. That position is not going to fall under the salary schedule for teachers. So again, it will be a different salary based on our budget that we have in regards to the grant funding that we have for the daycare. So again, the daycare center instructor job is not going to fall under teacher's salary for like the negotiated agreement for our salary schedule. It'll be a different salary depending upon their experience So anyway. And that's all I had for just a couple of comments. Any questions or anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor or opposed, vote on your computer.
Hold on.
Or do we have to, you know,
You just-
Mike's on the phone, we just have to,
If he's on his computer, he can vote, otherwise
I
you
think
have
he's
to
on the phone.
ask for his vote.
Mike? I can't tell when I voted.
You voted yes.
Oh, okay.
Man, I'm so- It should be up there, it says I don't know why it's not popping up, I already pushed the button.
So with the I on the phone, it passed 7-0.
Yes.
Hmm?
I don't know why it didn't pop up. It showed me 7.
All right, we'll move on to concerns.
No,
Nobody,
no, it's on.
nothing. Communications? Written items, none. And then administrative reports. Switched up the order on us, but we'll still start with the elementary school. Anything for Darla?
Do I have any additions?
No questions? We'll move on to BMS, which is a, anything for Matt? All right, DHS?
I've got one individual I'd like to recognize that came tonight. She is a Kansas honor student. She has been, because they recalculated at semester, we added 2 more Kansas honor students. Okay, so at semester we recalculated, and Trayvon Myers was one who is being recognized along with the other kids. And it's not Taven Lucas, sorry guys, it's Taven Allen. And so we're gonna recognize her tonight. And guys, this is just a huge honor. Part of the reason why they recalculated is because they didn't have the banquet, like I told you, and they are trying to, they're looking at things that they might do second semester for them, but they don't get that banquet, so I wanna make sure we recognize them here and let everybody know that we did have 2 other kids. And guys, we've got a huge class of some very, very high level kids, and it's great to see them on that continuous basis, and they're still meeting those requirements that the teachers are asking them to do, and there's high expectations. She is one of our Flint Hills Tech students, by the way, guys, and she'll be heading on to Pitt State, if I'm not mistaken, and she's going to follow the passion that she's already created at Flint Hills Tech, and she'll have a 2-year degree there, and then she's gonna move on to Pitt State. I'm not gonna hold that against her yet. I do wanna recognize her because she's doing great things for herself by doing all the things that she's doing right now. So, thank you, Taven, great job.
We gotta get a picture, we gotta, Dave, we wanna get a picture of social media. And you. Yeah, we'll get Lucas to send that to us too.
Alright.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Congratulations.
Yes, good job, Taylor.
Thank you. Just guys, there was one thing, I'll let Dave talk to it real quick. He doesn't even know he's going to, but I know he can handle it. Guys, as things are going right now, there's a lot of changes because of different things. And our homecoming is going to be changed. And I'll let Dave just recognize that date, because I know that's a big date. We've had to reset it, and senior nights have been reset. I'll let him talk to that.
Just in dealing with everything, kids that are going in and out of quarantine, along with now we're dealing with weather. We had our version 1 of senior night last Friday against Iowa. We'll have version 2 this Thursday against Eureka, and maybe a version 3, because we have a couple kids we don't know if we're gonna have back in time. So we're gonna get all the seniors recognized some way, in some manner or form. And then homecoming moved to the 18th, because we had a couple candidates who are on quarantine and won't be out until the 15th, so. That's, and then wrestling this weekend with, regional boys and girls on Friday and Saturday, and then the makeup boys game with Anderson County is Saturday afternoon at Burlington Middle School.
And I want to recognize again Dave, doing an unbelievable job for our tournament. We got our tournament in with no hitches, which is unbelievable based upon all the other, communities and stuff. 6 games, or 6 nights of games. I don't even know how many games, it seemed like it was
24.
24. So, a lot of games, and we had 6 nights of it, and I can tell you nothing but great things from coaches, administrators that came and talked to me, and was very much appreciated that we were able to get it done. And Dave had a lot to do with getting this accomplished, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the help that we had. We had a lot of people that stepped up to help us get that accomplished, and I'm very happy about that, so. Nothing else unless somebody has something else on that, guys.
Are you getting the support you need with, I saw this morning that the contact tracing through the medical center or the health department's been being done a little differently. Are you getting the support you need with that? And I'm speaking in reference to now the person that's test positive calls the other people to inform them that they're supposed to quarantine instead of the health department. Is that right? Did I see that?
That may be right, I don't honestly know. I know the information, they're getting it to us as fast as they can, and then we're dealing with it from that point. And the hardest thing is kids talking with each other, saying, well, so-and-so's not gonna be back till the 15th, and then something else is the 16th.
Yeah.
Until we see the paper, we don't know, but, you know, and Mr. Reed deals with that as much as I do for the most part. They're getting the paperwork, I think, as soon as they know, and get it filled out, and get it to us.
I went up before I came here to get because I had a couple of parents say their kid was coming back tomorrow, but that wasn't on their original quarantine sheet. But I got a different one, so I went up to check on the facts, and that's just what we're having to do.
And I think the 2 negative test situation where they're in quarantine, they take a negative, or get a negative test, and then they come back and get a second negative test, and they're released.
It's changed things a little
I
bit.
I don't know exactly how that works, but
I mean, I'm glad to hear that. I just, it was, when I heard that this morning on the commissioner meeting, that the people that are test positive are the ones calling their close contacts. I hadn't heard that, so I didn't know if it affected us anyway. Sounds like it's still working right. It sounds ever changing, right? So-
yeah.
It is, it's hard, very hard to keep track of, but we're trying.
So there was a bunch of confusion about how they were gonna do some testing. And I'm not sure why they changed it, then they changed it back, so I think it's kind of it's a confusing process
Yes,
at the beginning, and I think it just got worse.
Yeah,
So,
I just wanted to make sure you guys were getting what you needed, so.
Well, usually what we do is we I call Lindsay if I don't know,
Okay.
and say, okay, can this student or whatever be back? Because we don't have the updated quarantine, and usually if I'm able to get her, I'm able to get information at that time. Sometimes you just have to get a hold of somebody.
Yes, that makes sense.
And Lori Berman has been a huge help with it as well. I mean, call Lori, she usually can get a hold of somebody pretty quick to get us an answer.
the biggest problem is what Stacy was bringing up, the kids know more, or to talk
Yeah,
enough, and the school knows the last,
Yeah.
and so it's hard.
Yeah.
Because you get all this information that is just information, but not fact.
That's right.
So I was gonna bring that up as a topic, but I still don't know that I have a good answer for it, so I'm not really gonna bring it up, so.
Well, and Mr. Favor and I have talked about it, and I don't know that there's a real good answer, except to keep trying to make sure that we know if a kid is coming back early, we know ahead of time, because I don't like to get one of those where I have to call the kid out, say, hey, now I've got to get a hold of somebody before this happens, but you know, that has occurred a few times, not a lot, but I'm asking that if they do have a updated quarantine, to get that to us as quick as possible. And again, sometimes that information's already out there before we ever even know it, and they have questions, and, you know, it can cause a little issue there.
I think that's the biggest problem, is that information
Gets out.
is out there too much in the kids, but how do you control that? I still don't know. If any of you come up with an idea how to help that, share, because I don't know. how to do it.
Exactly. We would appreciate it.
I can't control the Wolf Creek, I don't know why I would be able to control the high school.
Well, you know, if everything was absolute information, everybody, what they said was truth, and it wasn't like the story told at one end and it's a different story at the other end concept, then we'd be fine, but it isn't, and I don't know how to fix it. I thought about it a lot. I don't have anything, so.
But nothing else in mind, unless you have questions.
All right, move on to special ed.
Can you
Anybody?
guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Alright, good. I was having some technical difficulties, so I really don't have much to add, but we're gonna talk about some things later on, but, just really been, you know, staying the course and getting through the school year and, looking at positions for next year, so. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, who's the speech language pathologist? Do we have somebody?
It's an addition, so we, approved for the the superintendent's approved for a part-time position, and, we started doing some contracting and didn't get any applicants, so we've been contracting. We did open it up to see if we would get applicants for full-time. Haven't got anything yet out of that either, but just trying to fill the need. We don't have the capacity right now to fill, right now we're contracting on the legal side.
Okay.
So.
all right, move on to technology report. Anything for Doug? Doug, have anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
I haven't heard anybody having any real technical difficulties with online stuff, so kudos to that.
Yeah.
Our servers must be functioning. I don't wanna.
Yeah, no changes.
Huddle cameras are going on.
Yeah, actually, the one in the middle school gym is much better than the one in the high school. I'm not sure why. It's clear. I don't know if it's a different camera or what.
It's same camera, it's a difference in the gym. If you notice the gym floor,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
difference is the brightness of the gym floor in the high school. You just, when you watch it, I've had a lot of people say that,
Yeah,
and there's just nothing you can do. I mean, it's just, it's a resilient floor, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's a good picture in that middle school. It's a nice picture.
And it's a little bit closer to the floor. We don't have
That's
quite as
true.
big a seating, quite as large of seating capacity. So that it does get a little closer to the floor.
So, a lot of, this is just something that if we could open this up if ever we wanted to, is where I grew up, they're doing all that stuff. It's not Huddle, where I grew up back in South Dakota and Montana area. It's not Huddle, but they get a lot of community people who announce those games on those things. I don't know if we even have the technology to do it on that Huddle thing, but if it's something that but a lot of people don't have like we do, like the dog announcing, so. It'd be nice if they would sync, but they don't quite sync.
Right, and then, and then you'd have, Jim would be on all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you know what I mean, right now, he gets to say, I'm heading to the station for a 60-second timeout. You
Right,
know, and you don't.
he'd never be off,
Yeah,
well, you'd have to mute it or
yeah,
something.
he'd never be off at that point in time, so.
So, anyway, that's just here or there. All right, move on to the superintendent's.
I have one document that I want to share with you. If you remember, we talked about AKISA, the accreditation piece, where we are able to pause this year because of all that's going on with COVID. They did ask us to, they have asked us, and come April, there'll be a set of questions, and you can see up on on the screen there that we will be asked to at least address, just to say, hey, we are still looking into things accreditation-wise for the district, staying on top of things and so on and so forth. So these are questions that we shared with the district leadership team. That's comprises administrators, directors, as well as people from staff members, teachers from all of the buildings. And so we meet once a month and we discuss different things, just again, district leadership team things. We do focus quite a bit on KISA over the last couple of years at our meetings, and so they will be helping out with the answers to these questions, as well as the administrators will be taking them back to the buildings for their staff meetings, and they'll be talking to staff again. We just need to come up with a list of some of these things that we are doing. Now, when you look at the list, the questions, fortunately for us, we've been in school regularly, so you know the issues that we've dealt with are different than other people who have gone, you know, to the remote or to the hybrid option. So we've been able to see kids face to face, you know, day in and day out. We get a chance to see their reactions, how they respond. Are they not sure about a concept, whether it be in math or science or whatever? Our interactions with those kids day in and day out. Fortunately for us, we may not have as many, you know, items as far as on our list of answers to these questions, because we are able to be on site, you know, pretty much for the whole year. So I don't know if you have any questions. Again, it's just a list of things, just kind of a little check to make sure that we are doing things to take care of kids' needs.
You're doing this already, or this is something you're starting?
We've started the process. We'll start collecting data, and then April 1, there's a survey that we type in our answers to. We have basically a month of April to type in almost like a Google form, if you will, and then submit it to the state. There's a number of different types of forms that we submit to the state throughout the year, and so they just send us a survey, a link, and we go in and add those comments in there. And they just review them to make sure that we're taking care of the things that we need to for our students, meeting the needs of students. Questions on the KISA questions? And then I just have a list of some upcoming dates that are happening. So again, it kind of takes you all the way February, March, April, and May. As we are already in, like I say, in the month of February, and it won't be too long, and we'll be getting ready for the end of the school year, as well as graduation, 8th grade recognition, and so on and so forth. So anyway, just kind of for your calendars, there's a list. Questions you have for me?
None being heard, we'll move on to board reports. Nobody's got anything? Okay, go on to the district auditor.
If you remember, again, we started with Jared Gilmore and Phillips this year, and after moving from Meishauser, there's proposals listed there. It's actually, if you look, it's a reduction from the first year. Am I looking at the wrong number?
Yeah. It went from 8,000 to 8,400.
I'm looking at the wrong number, I'm sorry. It was a slight increase.
I make a motion to approve the engagement letter with Jared Gilmore and Phillips for the 2020-21 financial audit in an amount not to exceed $8,400. All those in favor or opposed, vote on your computer. Mike, are you on the phone?
Aye. Just waiting for your call.
Pass 7-0. And then we'll move on to personnel, retirement.
Oh, no, 7B, there's.
Well, no, 7B, I went all the way to I went to B, just 8 instead. So adult meal prices are listed here.
And this information, just as you can see there, and Tracy can help us out with, Tracy works with any questions as well. Tracy works with Diana Hess, food service director. Because we are feeding students this school year free of charge, we have to make an adjustment to the adult breakfast and lunch prices so that we at least, again, look to cover our costs. And you can see that information there. Tracy, I don't know if you have any other comments on this?
Well, yes, we have to do that, but we still aren't covering our costs, so we have to at least get to the reimbursement rate. Because we're under the summer food service program, so in order to feed kids for free, we have to have the adult prices be so much. Currently, you can see there, the lunch reimbursement rate that we are getting, the district is getting for lunches is $4.33, and breakfast is $2.47. So we have to at least charge that. If you remember, we had to raise these earlier, October, November. Well, the summer food service programs runs January to December. So we were in the mid-cycle there. And the feds keep upping these reimbursement rates for districts who are doing this program. And as you can see, currently our average adult lunch cost is costing us $4.76. So we're not even covering our cost to serve adult meals. So we either have to raise, which our recommendation in KSDE said, just make them the flat $4.35 for lunch, $2.50 for breakfast. Don't worry about the change. So either raise them or the general fund has to supplement. So we're already going to have to go back and supplement from January through these first few weeks of February for all the adult meals that were sold. We have to, we don't have a choice, because the food service program cannot pay for adult meals. So we'll have to do that, but if you decide not to raise meals, then for every adult meal that's sold, the general fund will have to make up the difference.
So adult meals mean teachers who eat, or
Any staff member who.
family members who would come in,
Yeah.
parents or whatever,
Yes.
as long as you're an adult.
Yeah, and it's just that, it's not the à la carte, we don't have to adjust those prices yet. It's just if you go and get the full meal.
So how come they didn't recommend that we at least raise it to within a penny or a nickel, so it'd be $2.70 and $4.75?
You can raise them to whatever. We were just trying, you only are required to raise them to the reimbursement rate.
Reimbursement rate.
So yes, it's costing us more right now to create meals because we have additional staff helping out in food service right now because of COVID, which is why our cost has increased. Normally, we would be well under that rate, so we wouldn't have had to adjust it. But due to the extra staffing and additional materials to ship out all the grab-and-go meals and all the kids we're delivering meals to that are remoting in, the costs are just more this year.
Do you have any idea how many adult meals we serve?
In a month, like last month, we probably had about 100 lunches and maybe 35, 40 breakfasts. It varies depending upon the menu. And I mean, we did drop participation on adults after we raised them the last time. But our student participation is out of this world. I mean, we have more kids eating right now because it's free than we ever have eaten. So.
Motion to increase the adult lunch price to $4.35 and the adult breakfast price to $2.50.
I'll second.
Does anybody want to raise it more?
Well, I think if we raise it more in the future, hopefully the price goes back down to below if we're reducing staff.
Post-COVID?
Post-COVID,
Yeah,
so we wouldn't have to.
We'll relook at it when we start school next year. We can come off of the summer food service program potentially. Currently, we're good through December, but we could start if, everything goes good, starting this next school year, we could go back to the National School Lunch Program, and the reimbursement rates are different. They're not near as high, so.
All right, all those in favor, vote on your computer. All those opposed, vote on your computer. Mike?
Aye.
Pass 7-0. Move on to daycare, center, playground.
And I was hopeful we would have the information to be ready to approve a bid. We ran into a couple of snags on equipment and prices, as well as just kind of putting the whole package together. So We just won't do anything on this at all. I'm hopeful that we'll have this ready for the March board meeting, should have that ready, so they can start breaking ground in April. They still say that that time frame is good. If we have a decision in March, they'll be ready, they'll, be able to get on somebody's schedule, and they'll start breaking ground in April, pour some concrete, put in a fence, around the daycare playground. So we're still working on this project. We'll look to approve it in March.
Okay, we'll move on to the hay burning bid, or hay harvesting bid. So this is the land north of the softball, baseball fields, right?
Right, and notice it's a little different this year. We usually do the hay bid later, but Doug Rohr and Jared Herr and Derek Tompkins, thank you, Derek's, the crew out of the bus barn, they were kind of looking over this area and even had some conversations with Phil and Judy Stuckey as well, because their land is very close. We talked a little bit about a burning project that they wanted to do. We think it's best because we're running into the hay, the field hasn't been burned since I've been here. And there's some things growing up in that field that just make the hay, I guess, less than desirable, as well as we probably have some critters along that fence row between Judy and Phil's land and our land. So with us having a new, nice new baseball, softball, restroom concession stand out there, we didn't want our critters, hopefully, to head that way towards warmer ground when the weather gets bad. So we thought it might be helpful, to maybe get some, I'd say, some of the animals out of there, little rodents or whatever. So that's why it's kind of a combination hay and burning the fields. So they're gonna burn it, coordinate with Doug and the guys out there, burn it, and then hay it, coordinate with them as well. So that's the difference this year.
How many acres is that?
17. 17. And it doubled the bid.
And so, that is the family that lives out there to the north, are they wanting to burn like north of their house into that field also, or what were the? What was the coordination there?
Right, and I didn't see a couple things. One, they may end up, who knows, they may do it themselves. They may end up connecting with the people who are doing the burning for us.
Okay, so
And
that's not part of any of this, there's no agreement with them,
No.
it was just a conversation?
It was a conversation, exactly. And then, they discussed, obviously, Doug and his crew discussed with them about, along that fence line, you don't get, because it's really not noticeable out there, it's just a field, that the grass and the hay is kind of growing up. So there's, again, critters that nest in there in winter. So they would like to get rid of the critters, we would like to get rid of the critters, Unfortunately, about 40 years ago, we invaded that area with high school and middle school as well as baseball fields. We kind of invaded their home, and so now we kind of have to.
So wherever we give the bid to is gonna burn it first with the coordinated effort? Is this something that we, because of a school district, need to coordinate with the fire department, or is that something
They'll take care of
that
it.
is his job?
They'll take care of it.
All right.
Good questions. So a little different this year, but
Motion to accept the bid from Scott Burke for burning hay bid in the amount of $30.70 per acre.
Second, all those in favor and or opposed, vote on your computer. Mike?
Aye.
Pass 7-0. All right, now we can go to 8. So, personnel. And so, this is nothing, and the other thing that you were talking about is nothing, or do we need to go back?
I don't think we need to go back for 8A unless you guys have any questions about anything listed below in the section for 8.
Nothing from Friday notes makes you want to go back, all right? All right, move on. To 8B.
Motion to accept the retirement request of Mark Engel with regret as high school teacher effective May 19,
All those in favor or opposed, vote on your computer. Mike?
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
And we appreciate Mark's service, 31 years with the district.
Do we present him anything?
At the end of the year. Guys, he'll be great with us.
Yeah, he will.
He's a great teacher, a great guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, wish him well, but, it is a person that I think some of you may have had as teachers or know your kids have had. He's a tremendous teacher, so.
And that's gonna be another one that's hard to replace, right? Or just the topic of his teaching, right? Okay, move on to 8C.
I'll make a motion to rescind the resignation of Sam Sanderson as high school teacher effective at the end of the 2020-2021 school year from the October 12th, 2020 board meeting.
Second, all those in favor or opposed, vote on your computer. Mike?
Aye.
Pass 7-0. Move on to the next one, which is retirement.
Motion to accept the retirement request from Sam Samuelson as high school teacher effective July 1st, 2021.
Second, all those in favor or opposed, vote on your computer. Mike?
Aye.
Pass 7-0. Move on to results. Anybody have any questions or anything about the results place, the ACT map score, they have those documents in there? Any initial questions from what you reviewed? Nothing?
Tracy's pulling up some documents again through Edge Climber, as well as some of the documents that you have listed in your board packet online. And Tracy and Darla and some of our other administrators have worked a little bit with one of our Edge Climber gurus that we have, a lady, her name's Beth Sandness. She works with us. I think she's from Prairie View, and she also works through Greenbush and does some training sessions with them as well. And so I'll let them take it from here.
There isn't much, I mean,
Darla,
like,
can you
there
come
isn't much
forward?
for science, if you go back to the disclaimer.
If you'd like, move up to the seat to hear it a little bit better. Yeah.
I mean, so we have map scores, this is from this fall. Only 4th grade takes it in my building, 7th grade in Matt's building, 10th grade at Stacy's building. So this is just our scores for this year from the fall map assessment. I believe our data points are the blue lines, and the gray bar, or brown, whatever color that is the national average. So you can see that in all buildings, we are above the national norm. We also have an increasing line across all grade levels, so that's good. Again, that bar just indicates how many students took the test. So overall, I mean, year after year, when we do these reports, our science scores always seem to be very strong. So I think the teachers are doing a good job with the content.
Did you want to talk about your ACT results?
No, I mean, they see this every time, you guys, if you ever have any questions, But that's one that you'll see, because that bottom row tells you, all those kids that we had last year were the ones that took the test that we have the data on. So the seniors that we have, right now will be the ones that'll go on next year. I will emphasize that every kid basically took that test, which is really good. I mean, we really get to know the data on that if we can get every kid to take it. And we did also with this group too. And we're really pushing our juniors this year for February 23rd to all take that free ACT. We have a free ACT getting ready to come up, and they'll all take it, so that helps us look at that data.
And I guess I also want to commend Donna Boland, Crystal Acton, high school administration staff as well, because we do the testing on site at the high school. So the kids, they pull up at the parking lot before 8 o'clock and they can just come right to Burlington High School. They don't have to travel out of town. It's a huge plus to have that. So, and they put in a lot of time, energy, and effort to make sure the kids have that availability. Convenience factor is really nice.
And this last one, the Word document that's attached, is what you guys have been asking for, where you can track the class from start to finish. The science one isn't as impressive because they don't take it as many years, if I'm right. But if you look at, like this is the math, and this is the senior class, and this is tracked back all the way until they were in second grade. And now these are averages. So this is pulled out of EduClimber, that same program I showed you, but EduClimber can only do like it can do about 8 years on one graph, and I could have split it up in two, but I thought this kind of showed their growth over time, like you guys were wanting to see. But keep in mind, those are averages, so you obviously have kids above and below that, and then the red line is the MAP median, the average MAP score in the nation. And what's cool about this is those median scores are actually the actual median scores from back when they were in second grade all the way through. So we went back, because Craig Kuhlman had all that data, and Courtney Finlayson, of what the median scores were back in those grade levels, and I plugged those in to show like the actual true averages and not using current data for those averages. So
That is awesome.
yeah, but EduClimber does all of that. So I mean, I had to tweak it a little.
So the data you gotta put in there, but are we
All
learning that?
all I had to do was pull the scores from EduClimber.
And it went right in?
And I just did it in Excel, yeah, that's just a chart in Excel. So, yeah, it doesn't take any time at all, but the program has it, it just can't do the whole chart, we're only doing like 8 years at a time.
It's helpful that they kept that data from.
And like I said before, the
That's
tech
good.
teams went back and put, I mean, that's
awesome. Yeah,
many years ago.
that is helpful, I think, to see, you know, and it'll be interesting to see with this year, you know, with this, how it's gonna affect down the line, yeah, the growth, but.
We don't have a lot of kids in online, do we?
We currently have 2
2 in the
that
middle
are
school?
full-time.
So 5 students in high school and middle school,
I think I have 6.
and you have 6, so 11 altogether? So that would be something you guys can do in EduClimber and track those 11 and see if there's any difference.
Well, mine are past that, both mine are
They're
past
past
those, that age, senior, junior, so, and then the other ones, he may come back in as a medical thing, so, but we don't know if he'll be back or not.
Yeah, but still, we don't have a big number enough to
Yeah.
track it very well.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, I don't know if this is what everybody wanted, but this is kind of what I think it sounds like everybody wanted. For this 20,000 foot view, where you can really see what a class does, I think that's helpful for people. I mean, for you guys, it's more helpful when you get, because you boil down to the kid, each individual kid and how they progress. For us, we want to see how our school's performing, and from a school board standpoint, this is extremely helpful whenever you can give up, in my opinion anyway, that this kind of data helps us show what you're accomplishing, but you guys are doing it at the 20-foot level. We see it at the 20,000 foot level. And I think that extrapolates really well.
I think it just goes to show you the 10 years in the staff that we have here, and the kids that are doing.
Right. Well, and I think it'd be helpful, you know, just to look at, you know, the 2021 seniors, the 2022 seniors, whatever, and see, oh, is there always a spring or fall where they dip down or they jump up? You know, is there something during that time where we need to improve or we're doing opposite, you know?
It's just
kind
slight
of-
increase.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'll notice, you know, in almost all of it, the fall is just there, and the spring goes up just a smidge. Which is what it should be.
Right.
And it's kind of neat to see that steady progress too. I mean, you're seeing, which is good. If you had spikes, you might have some questions as to why. Are there things, you know, happening and why, and, you know, what's going on, so,
Right.
It's interesting because that data, which you guys are extrapolating out, is part of the reason why some states have gone to the, a different, well, I don't even know what they call it, where they have a longer spring break and and they only have 2 months of summer, trying to get rid of those dips. And so they're, I don't know what they call it, a semester system or quarter system, trimesters. And so because of those dips, they use that data to try to, and it'd be interesting to see if those states have seen a difference. I have no idea if they haven't or not. I know Indiana is one of the states that did it, but I don't know what they're, I mean, it's been going on a while. So that's interesting.
Thanks to
I
the tech
appreciate
people.
you.
and-
Yes.
I'm
and
sure
Dara for
everybody's working
all they're
on
doing
that
on that.
Yeah, major kudos to, again, Tracy and our technology staff and administrators and directors for creating something, and Darla especially, because she's elementary is really using, I would say, they are the ones that are using EduClimber the most, as well as middle school and high school, because of the different testing they do, that they're getting there, and again, it's more ACT driven, a little bit different for them, but as we use it more, we're gonna get better at this, and it'll help us, I think it'll help us evaluate some things as we move forward, and give you guys the information that you guys have been asking for, so.
I make a motion to accept the results one monitoring report concerning science and social studies as reasonable progress toward meeting the board's results policies.
Second.
All those in favor or opposed, vote on your computer. Mike?
Aye.
I was looking at the calendar. I thought it would pop up over my calendar, it wasn't. I was waiting for it. It didn't pop up or that big.
Pass 7-0. Okay, now Monique, you can tell us about the calendar.
I'm just looking at it.
Well, the calendar, I'll tell you, Tracy and I talked about, because Tracy and I worked together on the calendar come December to get ready for it, to go out to staff before Christmas to get some feedback, and you guys have I say, asked us to, you know, involve the staff with comments and just questions or ideas or thoughts. This year, we tried something different. Instead of giving like 2 or 3 options to the calendar, I called Kathy Freeman, visited with Kathy, and said, Kathy, we're gonna do something different, we're gonna give 1 option, and then I want feedback to make option number 2 or option number 3, or whatever the case might be. We did such a good job with draft 1, there were positive comments, administrators and directors put it in the staff lounges, as well as we set it out, you know, via email. They liked draft 1, I think we met their you know, their thoughts, their ideas as far as the calendar goes, and they seem, you know, to like it. And so, draft 1, we got it done on 1 try.
Are all the colleges still doing different spring breaks? Like
Yeah,
they,
there's, I think, 3 different spring breaks next year. There's second week of March, third week of March, and last week of
what
March.
happened? Like it all used to always be the same.
Board
Regents.
Get the same.
Board of Regents gave them,
COVID.
let them do what they wanted to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Board of Regents used
So-
to set it
so-
and now they
And
don't.
now it's,
Yeah, and so if you remember, we talked a little bit about this last year. We went with the idea of trying to align with Flint Hills Technical College, and they align with Emporia State. So because of that connection piece with our kids going over to Flint Hills, we thought it would be best to line up with them so it doesn't interrupt their education at Flint Hills Tech, so.
And that's what this is.
Right.
Correct.
Is there, you anticipate a football game October 29th?
Usually it's the 28th, that Thursday night, right?
I don't know.
seems like that's
I gotta count
different.
weeks here. There's a good chance depending, cause that would be that would be week 9. No, that's gonna be week 9. It could be Thursday or Friday,
Yeah.
just depending.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, I just,
Valentine's Day, they don't. No one really cares, honestly. Valentine's Day, they do. Their parents are saying, that's nice. MLK Day was right, I looked at that. Is the 14th of February President's Day also, not that we have to have President's Day off.
We usually align with those, yeah, but I don't know that I checked that for sure. But usually the 17th is,
Let me double check President's Day for 2022.
That's it.
It looks like for 2022, it's February 21.
You can switch that.
it's what?
That's one week later.
February 21, yeah. Good catch, thank you, Monique.
You're welcome. Mainly I looked at MLK Day, just 'cause.
So we just put the green square in the wrong box.
And we can make that, you can make the motion with that adjustment, pending approval with negotiations.
Motion to approve the 21-22 calendar draft 1, with the exception of moving the February date to the February 21st for the day off, subject to final ratification of the employment contract with BTA.
Second.
All those in favor or opposed, vote. Mike?
Aye.
Pass 7-0. Executive session regarding negotiations. And the motion has disappeared.
It was there, I thought.
I did not do that.
How long do you think we want to go?
No,
How much time we need?
20.
20 minutes?
That's what I thought it said.
It should have come back, hold on. If you can, don't refresh. That's a bad idea.
I'll
Oh,
risk
I
it if
see
you
it.
want.
It's
Motion,
motion,
it didn't just click.
motion to recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss certified contracts to the exception for employer-employee negotiations under COMA and to return to open session in this room at the end of that time, including Craig Marshall, Darrell Long, Matt Springs, Stacy Reed, Dave Watkins, and Lindsey Graff.
Okay,
All those in favor or opposed, vote.
Well, you're not gonna be able to because mine isn't going to refresh, so you're gonna have to go down to.
Mike?
Aye.
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 Pass 7-0.
You said 20,
20.
7:52.
And I have to take the responsibility for that motion disappearing because I changed it to a discussion item instead of an action item. So that caused your item to refresh.
I will, I'll talk to them now. News.
1 minute. I will bring the camera if you don't need it. I'll bring it if you got.
There's movies where they just slide and it goes away.
If I'm pushing buttons, we're good.
Big X in the right will get
Right.
rid of it.
Yeah, but if I, why am I not?
I'll do it. You can't see it from here. You have to look up there.
I'll let you, if you don't mind, I pull that up and I'm not sure where.
You have to go over here.
Thank
Go
you.
zoom in.
Huh? The big red X is good for you every time.
Yeah, I hate to be closer out completely too, but.
Okay, debriefing. Meeting adjourned. Did you guys get a paper? Did it get passed back to me?
No, we still have.
And I think everybody took the art walk, I think I mentioned that to you all, so you had a chance to see the art walk.